Good Thursday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Johnny Lively for our Thursday morning update. There's not much going on our Tamco Live Doppler radar. Even if we put it in motion, we see a little bit of radar noise over there towards southwest Louisiana. Probably some birds or some bugs really kind of getting active around sunrise. But you can see some showers moving into parts of southwest Louisiana, actually more so into the New Iberia region, but pretty quiet across portions of not only Texas, but really into the deep south. We still kind of see that moisture going into portions of the Florida panhandle. But other than that, not much going on this morning. Very muggy and very warm, but that's what we see this time of year. Mid to upper levels still pretty dry. Low levels very humid. It's got the moisture, but this is one of the big reasons we're not seeing high coverage today. Low moisture is there, but the mid to upper levels are so dry, it's really hard to have really big rain day today, but we'll still see some isolated showers or an isolated storm a little bit later this morning. That sea breeze kind of gets active, kind of what we've seen very similar to yesterday. And thanks again to our sponsor of Tamco, showing us what's going on the satellite and radar. Very warm and humid out there, middle to upper 70s, pretty much all across the board. I-10 corridor, you actually see some 80-degree marks, and down there towards the coast, you see everybody's pretty much at the low 80-degree mark, already getting closer to the mid-80s. Thanks to our sponsor of Silsby Ford. Get you one. Our outdoor and construction forecast for today is definitely going to be a hot and warm one. We're already warm. We're already muggy and sticky and humid. We're going to continue to do that throughout the rest of the morning. Temperatures getting into the low to mid 90s. The further inland you go, you can find some upper 90s and heat index, some 100 to 108. So definitely stay cool. Your only relief from the heat is this isolated chance for an isolated shower or two. 10 to 20% coverage. We'll see some of that sea breeze initiate kind of later this morning, getting into the afternoon. Thanks again to our sponsor of Modern Concrete Material, showing us what's going on this Thursday, because we're going to start kind of picking up a little bit on the rain as we get tomorrow and especially this weekend. But not much going on the tropics. It is absolutely quiet. Lots of Saharan dust kind of moving into the Caribbean and then the Gulf, and this is really keeping everything quiet. We're just not seeing a bunch of anything. You do see some little blob over there into the southern Gulf, but really not much to worry about because lots of dust coming in, really not allowing for anything to go on the next 7 to 10 days. Now, we do see some of this moisture kind of coming in, but it's kind of somewhat of a battle, the moisture and the Saharan dust. I know some people are saying, well, with all this dust coming in and all this moisture coming in, wouldn't this dust kind of maybe lower our rain chances as we get into the weekend, into next week? Not so much. This dust is more so kind of killing down and limiting the tropics. It will try to kind of hinder our forecast a little bit this weekend, but we have so much moisture kind of moving in. We're still going to get pretty active this weekend, especially as we get into early next week for the potential for some locally heavy rainfall. But the good news is this dust just keeps the tropics really quiet at bay, but the bad news is it can bring some problems in the upper respiratory. We'll start seeing that dust kind of come in today and tomorrow and the rest of the weekend, especially into next week. But let's look at the future cast today, sponsored by Switch Electric. We've got the high pressure off towards the west, another one off towards the east, but I really want you to show us that high pressure goes up towards the north. That's when everything kind of really changes. So we've got the chance for some showers and thunderstorms today, a little bit better coverage as we get into Friday. You see the flow coming out of the south, but as we get into the weekend, especially early next week, high pressure is far towards the north. Pretty big window of opportunity for the flow to come out of the east. Not only do you have the warm moisture coming out of the Gulf, but you also have more moisture coming in from the east. There's two levels of moisture kind of coming into our area. Heat of the day, some disturbances kind of going through our region with this moisture. This is just setting the stage for a pretty favorable pattern for some activity of rounds of showers and thunderstorms. You notice the moisture level's not that high today. Picks up a little bit Friday, but it really picks up this weekend. And as we get into early next week, we've seen this pattern before, kind of draped by this weak frontal boundary towards the north. Moisture is kind of trapped parts of San Antonio all the way into the deep south, all the way to Alabama and Georgia, and even Pensacola, Florida, all the way to Jackson, Florida, I guess you could say. You see that there's like a highway of corridor where all of that moisture is really kind of stuck or really kind of forced to. That's because that weak frontal boundary is kind of forcing everything in these zones. So this weekend, especially into early next week, we'll see rounds of showers and thunderstorms kind of over the same general areas. 1 to 3 inches of rain is pretty common as we get into the end of the weekend, into next week. We're talking widespread 1 to 3 inches. That's really not that big of an issue. It's these isolated areas. You start getting the potential for higher amounts. That's when we will watch for the potential for a low risk for flooding. But as of right now, we're just showing that our coverage of rain is definitely kind of gradually increasing, especially by we get into this weekend. Our highest days are going to be early next week. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we'll have pretty good coverage. Again, isolated today, gets pretty scattered Friday and Saturday, and then we get numerous Sunday into Monday. And then look at the futurecast for today. Again, we'll see 10 to 20% coverage. This is a sea breeze coming out of the south. It's the moisture and the heat of the day. You get those summer storms, right? We'll see that 10 to 20% coverage. This model data is actually wanting to get us up to possibly up to 30% coverage. But again, that mid to upper levels are very dry. We'll see if that actually does get up to it. But again, we're still expecting at least 10 to 20% coverage for a couple isolated showers and a couple of isolated storms. With the heat of the day and the moisture, you can still get a pretty decent heavy downpour and lots of lightning in some of these isolated storms, but coverage not too bad today. It's really as we get into Friday and Saturday, we definitely start seeing that kind of increase. Not as much isolated once we get into Friday into this weekend. So today, not too bad. Rainfall totals this weekend really aren't that bad as well too. So if you got outdoor plans, you just got to keep the radar handy because there will be some showers and thunderstorms going through the region. But if we look at the rainfall totals, majority of the area, about a quarter, half an inch seems pretty likely. Isolated spots, 1 to 2, 3 inches of rain can be possible, but again, that's isolated. It's not until Monday, Tuesday, and a little bit of Wednesday. There we are. You see that corridor of kind of locally heavy rainfall is possible. 3, 4, 5 inches of rain is possible for these isolated areas. Widespread 1 to 3 inches seems pretty common as we get into early next week. This afternoon, low to mid 90s all across the board. The further north that you go, you can find several areas getting into the upper 90s down towards the coast, upper 80s to the near 90 degree mark. Heat index, again, 100 to 108. Definitely stay cool. It's going to be a hot day. Only relief from the heat is at 20 to possibly up to 30% coverage. And then overnight tonight, middle to upper 70s in several areas around that 80 degree mark, thanks to Silsbee Ford showing us how warm and muggy and sticky it is. But hey, it's Southeast Texas. We know how it is. But today is about 10 to 20% coverage this morning. We might get up to 30%, but we're gradually going to see the rain coverage really kind of increase as we get into this weekend. Highest days is going to be Sunday, Monday. Locally heavy rainfall is possible. The potential for widespread 1 to 3 inches of rain is really Sunday, especially into early next week. This weekend is not a complete washout. We just need our radars handy, kind of watching some of these showers and thunderstorms moving through the region. Same thing for Southwest Louisiana. Not too bad today. Friday's not too bad as well, too. It's just this weekend, and as we get into early next week, we just start seeing kind of rounds of showers and thunderstorms. A lot of times this is in the late morning, getting into the afternoon, and then it starts kind of tampering off as we get into the evening time hours when we lose that sun kind of going down. So this is a wonderful time to go download the free Gulf Coast Weather Solutions app. Today is not that active, but still you can have a chance for an isolated shower and storm with the heat of the day. You can generate lots of lightning in some of these isolated storms. So what's really neat about our app is it sends it to you quick. I mean, by the time you hear the thunder, you literally get a notification that says, hey, lightning was reported in a mile, 2 miles from your location. This app will keep you updated and also will keep you updated this weekend, getting into next week as we see more rain on the rise. So you guys have a wonderful Thursday. Thanks for tuning in to the Thursday morning show. I'll see y'all video-wise tomorrow on the Friday morning show, but we're going to have lots to update regarding this weekend into early next week on Facebook, YouTube, and on our free Gulf Coast Weather Solutions app. Y'all have a good Thursday. See y'all again tomorrow morning. Y'all have a good one.
Gulf Coast Weather Solutions is sponsored by...
We don't know what the weather is going to be like around here. I do get really anxious during storms.
That's why they chose HailGuard. When performance leads, confidence follows. Backed by the first and only asphalt shingle system with a hail warranty.
That just gives us more peace of mind.
This is the only asphalt product on the market that has the manufacturer warranty targeting the hail damage, and it gives me a lot of confidence as a contractor.
Engineered for enhanced impact performance. Built to protect homes and reputations. HailGuard shingles. Built for hail.